it's fine. It's, they can join in the next few minutes. I hope everybody can hear me, so I might just get a smiley face if you can all hear me. If you're not sure where that is, sorry, someone else have to pop it on. If you're not sure where that is, just look at the hand down at the bottom of the screen and click on the hand and then choose whatever face you want. So you have a hand up or a smiley face or a sad face. Okay, good stuff. Okay, great, everyone can hear me, that's great. Okay, so this evening we're going to focus on blogging and blogs. I think we've chosen blogs because a lot of people are beginning to create blogs. Some people already had blogs before the course, so they're posting their reflective pieces to the blog. So the reason we're focusing on the blog this evening is because we've asked you to reflect on the 2 different tools you used from the ICT module and to put this reflection piece, just a description about what you did and how it worked in the class, into a blog. Okay, so just before we kick that off, just to remind you that the ICT Toolkit module was compulsory for everybody, and then you can choose an option module. There are actually 3 different option modules you can choose from. There's just some bits being finalised on the entrepreneurship module, but the learner-centred teaching module is available and the assessment module is available. So entrepreneurship will be there next week. Just a little bit on the assessment module. The assessment module, it's far more focused on a formative assessment rather than summative assessment. It looking at learning intentions and communicating some success criteria with students, self-assessment and peer assessment, and how can you help students to be able to be in a position to self-assess, and how can you help students to be able to give effective feedback to one another. There's also some information there about using rubrics. Everything here is interrelated. Using rubrics, a rubric can be a form of a way of sharing some success criteria with students. And then there's information there on e-portfolios. They are kind of interactive pieces on the e-portfolio, so it brings you from understanding an e-portfolio, functions of e-portfolios, how the e-portfolios support assessment, how would you maybe go about implementing e-portfolios, and then there's just some information on question tips and some different tools and apps that might be useful for formative assessment. I think there's things there like Kahoot, Socrative, Zaption, so Edpuzzle, they may or may not be tools you might be familiar with. And similarly to the other ICT Toolkit module, the task is practical, to do something, implement something in class and give us your feedback on it, and again posting to your blog about the feedback of what did you do, how did it go. So the other module is learner-centred teaching, which again is just looking at different approaches and strategies you could use in the classroom to promote sort of a learner-centred teaching style, where the focus is more on the process of learning and how students learn rather than just transmitting knowledge or transmitting information. So it looks at, differentiation, how to organise group work, cooperative learning, how to promote problem solving in the classroom, how to use personalised learning environments, and then just gives ideas on some apps that you could use to support learner-centred teaching approaches. So, you're more than welcome to go and peruse both and then kind of make a decision on which one you'd like to go and do. They're all going to be visible to you, but just making the point that you don't have to go through all 3 of the other modules. You just choose one. So that is that really. I'm just going to clear all those smiley faces there. So is everyone okay with that they only have to choose one option module? I hope people are on that. And if you already know what option module you're choosing, you might indicate there in the chat if you already know your assessment is something you want to focus on, or if learner-centred teaching might be something you want to focus on, or if you're still unsure, you can indicate that there over in the chat area.
Hi, John here. I just wanted to say as well that there is a 4th module on entrepreneurship that will be, I think, released maybe next week. Is it, Adam, or do you know yet?
Yeah, it will be there early next week. Yeah, entrepreneurship. So again, if you're not sure what you want to do yet, you can certainly wait and look at entrepreneurship. Actually, I didn't put up a little synopsis of what's in entrepreneurship, but just to be clear, it does look at entrepreneurial skills. So it's not just directly, it's something that a business studies or an economics teacher might do. It looks at using things like how to build resilience, how students can develop skills that, entrepreneurial skills that they can actually use in everyday life.
Okay, so and you might go into a bit more detail on that next week if it is.
Yeah, when it's available. Yeah, no problem at all. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I see some people are unsure and people are saying maybe assessment. Yeah, and we got a bit of feedback at the start. People were quite interested in assessment as well. Okay, so I will move on. So some people emailed over the Easter break, and they were just wondering about where do they post their link to their blog, and if they made a Prezi or if they made an Office Mix. So just to point this out again, I did send it out. I did send everybody out a one-page handout just to show you what to do. But if you go into the ICT Toolkit module, you'll see discussion forums. And in the discussion forums area, you'll see module 1 reflection activities. And if you just go in there and you just hit the reply button, you'll be able to post a reply or put in a post there into that thread. And people are just giving me their links. You can see here some people have submitted their links already. We would have liked to start getting those by next Monday. I know some people have told me, look, that they're kind of still doing stuff, or they want to try 1 or 2 more things with their classes. That's fine, as early as possible. If you could complete the tasks and the reflection for this, we'd appreciate it. I know some people have emailed me and indicated that it might be a week's time. That's fine. If you do think that you won't get it done by next Monday, just drop me an email and you can let me know. But if you do have them done, you can certainly post the links here. And it's public, so if you want to have a look at what other people have done, and you can certainly do that. So you can just go in there yourself. You can see all the different entries from other people, so you can have a look at maybe a Prezi somebody else made, or a mind map, or a blog that they've created. The idea of this is that it's sharing, and if there's something you like on somebody else's, or you want to know how they did something, or you can definitely interact in there. You can just reply. So if you went in and you saw something that Emer Morrissey did here that you were interested in, you can go in and you can certainly reply to Emer. So I hope that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to move on. So just before we start talking about blogs and Blogger or WordPress, there are different ones you can use, edu blogs and things. I'm just wondering how many people or how many of you have ever used Blogger, WordPress, or a similar type of tool to create a blog in the past, so before you might have started the actual ENTELS course. So just wondering how many of you would have used it. So and if you used, which one did you use? So I'm going to start a poll here. So you can select A for WordPress, B for Blogger, C a similar tool, and D if you've never used any such tool. So I'll just start the poll now. Okay. So I see there that a bit of a mix. So 2 people have used WordPress, just 1 on Blogger, and 2 people have never used any such tool. Okay, and certainly if you want to come in and add anything, especially if you're quite familiar with the tool, such as WordPress, and there's something you think that, when we're speaking this evening, that you think could be added, feel free to just put your hand up. Or if you have a question, remember you can use your emoticons over here on the left, so you can put your hand up, or if there's something if you find we'll really just use it for your hand up, or if there's something you're confused about. I think there's a little confused face there. There is, the third one, and you can maybe show a confused face if there's something that's catching you out there. Okay, so I'm just going to move on now. I'm actually going to look more at Blogger this evening, but I'll also look at WordPress, and I'll tell you why looking at Blogger. I know that WordPress is covered more so in the actual ICT Toolkit module, but I'll speak with you in a few minutes about the two. Just useful ideas for blogging in the classroom. I mean, you probably know some of these. One, obviously, is to build your own professional learning network. It's a great way to share what you're doing with the outside world. And you can blog, and I know a lot of people then might tweet links to something that they're blogging about. In the classroom, obviously, it promotes digital literacy. You can reach a whole audience and your students. So if you have a class blog, or you might use a blog, you might blog as a teacher to all your classes, it can be a great way to reach all your students. You can put a variety of different media formats into your blog, so it's a great way of sharing different documents and information. Again, you could control a blog or a website you build on WordPress, but you could have your students maybe feature a blog piece every now and then. So they as well, if students in time create their own blogs, it can be a very nice way for them to showcase their work and to use the blog to reflect on work that they've done and to interact with each other. Of course, there's kind of a bit of etiquette there, and really, I suppose it's the last one, teaching students how to develop a positive digital footprint when they do start blogging. So, you know, it can be good that you might model it for a while first and just let them have some feature blog posts if you're beginning to look at blogging with students, and then they might in time create their own blogs. Obviously, if they're all creating their own separate blogs, you know, it's a different story for you to start monitoring that and things, so you'd have to give that some thought beforehand. Okay, so they're just uses of blogs. I mean, feel free over in the chat if there's other things you're using blogs for to let us know and fill us in over there on the right. So the chat is there for the whole session, and definitely feel free to add things, or if there's something you want to add, that's great. So if there are things that you also find blogging really, really useful for, you can add it there in the chat. So I'm going to look at Blogger first. I'm looking at Blogger. One, it's not something that was as well covered in the ICT Toolkit module, and I did actually have a few people email me that they wanted to use Blogger because they Gmail accounts and different things, so that was fine. So I'll just have a quick look at Blogger. A lot of what I'm saying about Blogger applies to WordPress, and I'll also do a little bit on WordPress. If you haven't created any blog yet and you're deciding what sort of whether you're going to use Blogger or WordPress, this might be a good opportunity for you to kind of make that decision. You might be a bit more informed. Blogger is hosted by sorry, I'm just getting emails coming in there. I just want to stop. The Blogger is hosted by Google, so they're free. One thing about Blogger as opposed to WordPress, WordPress.com obviously is free for everybody. WordPress.org is commercial, and they do try and kind of you can upgrade to commercial elements in WordPress, whereas Blogger, it doesn't have that feature. So it's purely a free tool. Okay, so to use Blogger, you can simply go to blogger.com and sign into an existing or create a Gmail account. And once you're in there, you can develop your profile. And then you can, once you've done that, you can go back to Blogger. Okay, so you might already have that created. So the first thing you click on, it mightn't be that obvious, is new blog once you're in there. So you just tell it you want to create a new blog. You get the opportunity to give your blog a name. It'll tell you this blog address is available. If it's not available, it'll tell you it's not, and you'll just have to try something else. Your blog will always be available at .blogspot.com. That's unless you register a domain and go into that sort of thing, which we won't really deal with. So it'll be at .blogspot.com. Okay, and once you've got your name, you can pick a template. You can change the template later. So, you can pick one which looks nice for you, but it's not definitive. You can change that later. Okay, and then you create your blog. So then you start looking at your posts and pages. And I think this is something to be clear about with Blogger. Your first page acts as your blog page. So every time you put in a new post, it goes onto this blog page. And after that, every page is a separate page, and I'm going to show you that with an example one I have for this evening. So you go in, you're creating your first post, which will go onto the first page, the landing page. It's usually promoted as the first page that people land on when they go to your Blogspot, unless you tell it something different. So when you go in there, you have all these your editing tool here, so where you're going to compose. So you can go between compose, which is your normal text, or HTML. So compose is fine. It'll let you obviously edit all your text, and you can add different media types like videos and images and different things there. But you might switch to HTML sometimes if you want to embed content, and that's something I'm going to also demo again in a few minutes. So once you've put in maybe your first text, you can then click publish, or you can preview it, all right? And then when you publish it, you'll see it here on your first page, okay? So the home page, okay? So here, anytime I put in any more blogs, they all just come up under blog posts. They come up underneath this post here. You can see on this particular blog here that I've actually put up pages as well. So I have 2 different pages here as well. So I'm going to show you a little bit on pages now. So that's where I'm going to put in my post. And if I want to add pages, you would go back and you would go to, instead of new post, you would tell it that you want to put in, or if you want to edit a post there, I've just shown that you can go to posts, and if you hover over a post, you get the option to edit. So that's if you want to go back and edit a post, and then you can update that. So if you do want to edit a post, you can edit it easily enough. I'm just going to, as well, you have the options of your settings. So if you go into settings, you don't have to make your blog public straight away. You can go into the settings, and you can look at the blog readers, and you can say, that it's private, or you want to make it public. So you can then always save changes then once you've that done. So they're the basics. If you want to customize the settings, design and template, at any point you go back there and you look at the layout and the theme. And we're going to be looking at layout again in a moment when I talk about adding pages. So if I go into pages here and tell it I want to add a new page, that's fine, and I'll be able to add a page. But sometimes I find in the past that people will add a page, and then if they go back to their actual blog, so if I go back really quickly here, if they go back and look at their blog, they don't see their page up along the top, and they're wondering what have they done wrong, that they have created a page but they don't see it up here. So when you create the page, you have to then obviously add your content here and publish it. But again, you're not going to see it straight away. What you have to do after that to make the page visible and add it to the actual home page is you have to go to layout, and wherever here you'll see somewhere here out there in the cross section here, pages. So go into layout and look for your pages, and then select edit. And when you go into edit, then you'll be able to see a box here beside the page you just added, and you have to select the page to make it visible. Okay, so that's something that catches people an odd time. And they're sometimes also wondering, how do they change the order of pages they add? And again, your page names are just under here, so it's in layout, and you can just drag and drop them to change the order. So then I added a page there, embedding content. So the page is then visible. Okay, so you can add a page, but don't forget sometimes to go afterwards to layout if you want to make that page visible. So I'm just going to move on. Now, embedding content. Embedding content, embedding it means that it's active, it's interactive. I spoke about Symbaloo in our last webinar. I mean, I'm just using a Symbaloo here, for example. You can certainly embed things like a Prezi, an Office Mix. You can, we don't cover them on this, Sway. Some people might have heard of Office Sway. You can embed all types of different content. What you need to do is go and find the embed code. So it's different than the regular URL. So here I'm just showing an example of how I would embed a Symbaloo. Okay, and if you are building a blog or a website for a class, it can be a great thing. We looked at Symbaloo just before Easter, and people were very intrigued by it. So it's a great way to actually maybe have you could have a page on your blog area called, you know, useful websites. For me it might be for maths or business or for English, and you could put one or two Symbaloo's on that page, which might be nice. So how do you embed those on the page? So what I did here for my Symbaloo is I logged into obviously symbalooedu.com and I looked at the share icon, and you can look at the share icon. Look for the share icon always. You can look for it in YouTube, you can look for it in Prezi. There's always a share icon, and look for the embed code. Okay, so you should find it. In this particular one, I went to WebMix Details, and this is the embed code, and you need to copy that copy that code. So you can copy that just by selecting it, and in case you're not familiar with the keyboard shortcuts, just press Control-C once you've selected it, and that takes a copy of it. And once you've taken a copy of it, you go back to wherever you want to put this. But remember earlier I said, you know, compose, and when we had it here on compose, you know, we could format the text and easily add images. You toggle this over to HTML. So you need to go into HTML to add this, and then you paste that code there on wherever on the page you want it. So you're into the HTML. So to paste using the shortcut Control-V. All these slides are available, so there's no need to be taking this down or anything, just in case you're trying to follow this. So this will all be available afterwards. So once you paste that there, you can publish it, and then as you can see, there's that Symbaloo available on the actual web page, and it's not just an image. If you click on any link in that's now accessible. So that's how I would embed content into a blogger blog. So I hope everyone's with me on that. So I'll just stop there. I've kind of gone through a lot there in about the last 15 minutes. So if you have any questions, or if you're happy, you can give me a smiley face there. Okay, that's great. I'm glad you're happy. So if you have gone and created a Prezi or a mind map or different types of things, definitely give embedding a go, and it really can actually bring a website to life. Some of that embedded content, it makes it interactive instead of just words and images. Not saying there's anything wrong with just words and images, but you know, if you want to try something else, try embed something. Okay. One reason I particularly like Blogger is I actually find it's easier to embed content on Blogger than on WordPress.com. WordPress.com, it can be harder to actually embed some things. I can't embed Symbaloo on a regular WordPress.com. I have to add a plugin, and to add a plugin, you actually need to have a domain. So it means you're moving to the paid version to be able to add plugins. So I'm not saying go one way or the other. WordPress is very nice. I really like it. I'm going to show you an example of a WordPress as well. I think it looks really, really nice, and they've lots more designs, and there's always that option to upgrade. There's always, you know, to nearly do more with it. But that's because also it's commercial, whereas Blogger is free. But I do find it easier for a free version of a blogging tool. It's great. It's great for embedding content into it. So if you did want to know more about Blogger, by the way, you can go to the Blogger help desk. There's lots more information about using it there. So on WordPress.com, and I know two people said earlier that they did use WordPress. So if there's anything they want to add, that's at any point, remember, just let me know. Actually, Eleanor, you have a question there, I see. Do you want to ask your question? Yeah.
Yeah, can you hear me there?
Yeah, I can hear you. Perfect.
Hi, Admar. Thanks for that. I just was wondering, I haven't done any of the embedding before, and I was wondering, is there like a shortcut on things? So, for example, I was just looking in the background there at an Office Mix to see, did they have an embed feature? And I wonder, is there something with every website where you go to like file, and is there a way of looking up that HTML code, or do you have to look for that share symbol?
No, not everything can be embedded. What I might actually do is just actually share my screen. No, you would normally look for share, and it should give you embed code. You'd have to look for the embed code. Now you can do it with Office Mix. What I'll try here is there was a lag the last evening when I tried to share my screen. So I'll just see how quickly I can share my screen here.
Thanks.
you might, I'll just clear those hands up, and you might let me know when you give me a smiley face when you can actually see my screen. What I'll do now is I'll try and actually I'm going to show, I can show you how you'd get the embed code for a Prezi, and I'll also show you how to get the embed code for an Office Mix, what you kind of look for. Okay. I don't know if it's going to let you. I'm just trying to share my screen now. Sorry for this for a moment. Just see if it'll share my actual screen there. It's trying to share it now, so hopefully there won't be a lag. If there's a lag, I won't do this. And what I'll do, actually, Eleanor, is if it won't actually let me share my screen, I will I'll put up a few notes on that on the actual ENTELS platform.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Can you see? Can everyone see Office Mix yet? Can you see that, Eleanor? Office Mix.
Yeah, it's just coming up. It's just a little bit checkered, but yeah, it's coming up.
Okay, so some of you might, actually a couple of people have made mixes as part of the course, which is great. And I don't know, was it yourself, Evan, or somebody else, they had trouble actually embedding videos into the mix, and I'm going to show people next week a way around that. It often mix when you try and put in a YouTube video, it can be a bit temperamental, so I can show people a way around that. During the week next week. So I'm just going into Office Mix and my mixes. So if you want to share one of your offices, what I do is I go into my mixes and I then go to the details of my mix. So once I details of my mix, there are a few things you have to be careful of here. You can see I've already embedded this mix, but it depends on the permissions you have for your mix as well to be able to embed it. So if you obviously have it set that only nobody can see it, you're not going to be able to generate embed code. So you have to have the correct sharing settings on, and then you can look for your embed code. So when I click on this embedded here, it brings up this embed code here, and you get small, medium and large, and that's asking you what size do you want it to display on the actual screen. So if you look here, it's given a width of 608 and a height of 391. If you go for medium, it's changing those numbers. You can change those numbers yourself when I'm pressing Control-C, when you copy it and when you paste it into your HTML code, you can change those dimensions yourself. But you can take the ones it has. So by telling it small, medium or large, it's just changing those dimensions in there to how big it's going to display. Actually, the example I showed you of a Symbaloo, the Symbaloo was quite big, so I had to make it quite small to fit on the page. But you can just change it by changing the dimensions here. So I would just take a copy of that code and then I would pop it into my my blog.
That's brilliant, Ademar. Thanks. Yeah, that's exactly what I see on my own one, so that's perfect.
Perfect, great. And the other thing then, I just have one of the participants, John, I think made, I don't know if you're on tonight, he made a nice Prezi here. So here he has a Prezi. So you can see, look, share. Sometimes you have to click share to be able to get the embed code, but actually in Prezi here it's embed. So if you just click on embed there, you see here it's looking for you to give the width and the height, and that's so it can put it into the code. So once you have that, copy code to clipboard, and you have that then you go back to your blog and you change over to HTML and you paste that code in, and you should be able to preview it and see if it pops up. So it should work for you. So some people are trying to embed things in WordPress.com. If you're getting stuck, unfortunately, it probably won't work for you. Certain things won't embed. Lots of things will. Certain things won't embed. I wasn't able to embed a Simbaloo in WordPress.com. I need to get a plugin, and that means upgrading and things. So the free version wouldn't let me. So if you haven't created a blog yet, that would be something. If you did want to play around with embedding some of these type of things, you might try blog instead of WordPress. Up to yourself. I just have one of my bloggers in here. So here's a blogger as well. Here's another thing I embedded. I hope you can see my screen now. This is actually a sway. We haven't covered sway in the course, but it's actually a sway. So it's just a bit slow to generate there, but that's actually interactive as well. I'll show you. This is sway. This was an example I made when I was just speaking with some teachers one evening. We were looking at how maybe we could get first years to tell each other a little bit about themselves. So the idea was that they could, the teacher would create a blog page, and the sway is free. So the students went off and used sway, and they used images and just a little bit of text to write a little bit about themselves, and then the teachers could go and put those all in as little blog posts onto the class blog page. So this is just an example. I was able to embed a sway, and then as they interact, I just see the arrows there, it's generating. So get to know a little bit about me. This was just an example we did that evening. They could put in their text, so something very easy, things they liked, things they didn't like, and they put photo story and things like that. Just there, click on them to go. So photo story, different things. Like if they like. So we were just looking at nice, easy ways that students could use that. But that's another reason I liked Blogger, because it was very, very easy to embed those. So that's just an example of a sway. And actually, sway could you could think it's an easy way for us to get used to creating blog posts in a way, because if to put in images and things, they don't use any HTML. It's very simple. Okay, so that's another example of something I embedded into my blog. Okay, so that's pages, that's posts, and that's just embedding a few things. So we just go back now to our actual webinar. I'll just close that. Okay. So now we're just going over to WordPress.com. So, like I said, actually, I'll just stop again. Has anyone else any questions there? And just out of interest, would any of you, you can give me a smiley face, would any of you regularly embed, people earlier said they had used WordPress and Blogger, would you have usually embedded some content into your blog and added different pages, or is this something that's new to you? You can either comment over here, or you can give me a smiley face, yeah, if you've done this in the past and this is something you normally do. Oh, okay, Sinead. Sinead. Do you mind me asking? Do you use WordPress, or do you use Blogger, or are you using something different? I'm not sure if Sinead has a microphone there or not. Okay, perfect. And so you normally use WordPress, okay. And are you, just out of interest as well, Sinead, are you using the free version of WordPress? WordPress.com. So just asking Sinead out of interest, just to, yeah, she does the free version. So that's fine. Just out of interest, I was wondering, Sinead, then how you're finding that embedding different content there. So on WordPress.com, you can go straight away. You can create a website or start a blog. If you click on start a blog and create a website, much of a muchness, it means that it's just going to kind of already set up certain features more designed towards a blog or a website when you start off. So, you can certainly go to WordPress.com and tell it you want to start a blog. And the next thing then is it will ask you to choose it to create an account and give it a name, similar things to what you did over on Blogger, very straightforward things. And then you kind of get something quite a blank space. Okay, so what you then want to do is to start to look at customizing it. So when you click on this customize icon, you can start to customize the design. Okay, so this is more around the design and not where you go to actually add content. Okay, so you can add some of your see what your front page is like, your different fonts, if you want to change the colors and different things. But to add the content, what you're going to click on is just up here, my site. And then you get a different menu there on the left. This is where you can start looking at blog posts and pages and adding them or editing current ones. So if you go there to my site, then you get a different menu as opposed to what you're getting down there if you click on customize. Okay, so it's pretty, again, straightforward. I think WordPress is very nice as well. I like I like the feel of WordPress.com for actually working in it, and sometimes I think they might pop a little bit more, some of the designs and the themes you can choose. But again, it's completely up to you what you use. So if you want to add your first blog post, like with Blogger, whatever blog posts you put here, they'll typically come up here on the home page, the very first page, okay? Excuse me. So you just, similar again, you'll tell it you want to put in your post. This is just an example I made. So again, my first blog post, same things we see in Blogger, you can toggle between the visual and the HTML. If you want to embed things, you'll normally switch over to HTML. In general, you're just going to probably use the visual, unless you're maybe doing a little bit of work with students about using HTML. It's a good way to actually get them used to using some HTML. So again, all your regular things here to change the text. If you want to add some media, like some images, documents and things, this is your little symbol to do that. So you just up here at the very top left will let you add some different types of media. Then you can obviously preview or publish your post. So preview, have a look at how it looks, publish it. Even if you publish it, you can always come back and edit it. So once you've that done, that's me. I was just demonstrating here. You can toggle over to HTML. So I'm just going to move that on. No, I didn't put in examples, but I can actually share my screen and show you an example of my website that I built on WordPress.com, but it's similar things again, with adding pages and adding posts and different things, and you can tell it what order you want pages in. It's just a little bit different. There's more actual sort of tutorial information on using WordPress.com in the actual ICT Toolkit module. So if you go there, there's some videos and lots of information about using that. So I'm just conscious we've only 5 minutes left. So I know I did more work on Blogger. That's not to say that I have a preference for one or the other. I just said I'd show you that, especially in terms of being able to embed things there. But this is WordPress as well, and there's lots more information about using WordPress in the ICT Toolkit module in blogging. So I've spoken a lot tonight, so you might want to say something, or you might have some questions, and certainly now is your opportunity to do so.
Edmar, John here, just a quick thing on WordPress. Well, WordPress is now become almost a standard for actual website development. About 25% of all websites are done in WordPress. So it started out as a blogging tool, but is now, and a lot of the websites that use WordPress, they don't look like blogs. It's just developed into that. So it's a good one. It might be probably a little bit more complicated than Blogger to use, but if you get using it, it is something that you can, if you have a flair for putting websites together, and that it's very flexible and durable once you get your way around it.
Yeah, certainly. I'd agree with John there as well. And even if you're starting out with something that you think later you might kind of develop into something a bit slicker looking, or it might go somewhere, you might be more interested in doing some work in WordPress. And like that as well, you know, it doesn't actually cost much to host it. I think you can do it for $13, and then you can easily, things that you might find tricky to embed, it's easy to embed once you have spent that. I think it's $13 or that. You just can put in lots of plugins. It can go a lot further. And like John said, it's the go-to nearly now for building a website. So you can do lots in time with it. Yeah, Sinead agrees. She thinks that WordPress is a little bit more complicated, all right, than Blogger, but yeah, it does offer more options. It can be complicated at the start, but worth it. Yeah, it can, but it's in, you work through it, and like that, you'll start with simple things like posts and pages, you know, adding some content, but then you'll want to do more things, and I think that's true with Blogger. You might actually start wanting to do more, and you might hit a wall because it might be slightly more limited. It depends on what you want to do. Yeah, that's true. Is there anything else anyone wants to ask or add this evening? Everyone's very quiet. Okay, I'm just conscious of time here. So just to let you know, next week we've been using Big Blue Button. John, I don't know if you'd agree. I think this evening has actually been a bit better. It could be to do with actual broadband or bandwidth. But next year we think we're going to host the actual webinar on Skype for Business. I think we'll use just to kind of show you again to see the different types of ways of engaging in a webinar. And the reason we want to use Skype as well is to remember that the course, this ENTELS project and pilot is about three things really. It's about looking at how do you as an educator find engaging in sort of an online self-directed but blended style that there are webinars type of professional development. The second thing is, how do you find the platform that we're operating within? The one that we're using there for the ENTELS course, it's called Shimillo. How do you find that? How easy and user-friendly is it? And obviously the third thing is, how did you find the content? So the reason we're thinking we're going to move over to Skype is just to see how you find participating in a webinar on Skype.
Yeah, I just was to say there that the course, this whole ENTELS course has come from our partners in Spain, and they use Big Blue Button, and I think it would be also good for you to get a comparison between that and another platform in terms of the live sessions to see is there how Big Blue Button, which is free and open source and all that, shapes up or squares up to other platforms. So that's something we're interested in looking at as well. So that'll be next week, and Adamar will send out the details before the session to everybody so that you know how to log in and all of that.
Yeah, certainly. And I just mentioned before, another partner in this particular project is Plymouth University, and we have some guest lecturers coming along to give some webinars, some in April and some in May. So I'm hoping to actually build up a schedule of what you can expect in the different webinars next week, and I'll certainly share that out. I know some people are asking, was there kind of a schedule, and I'll try and share something with you on that next week. I just want to make sure that we've confirmed some of those guest presenters before I do so. So I hope that's it for everybody. Again, you know you can find me at afrawley@h2.ie if you need anything. And thank you very, very much for coming online this evening.
And just to say, to thank Adamar again for organising and leading the session. She put a lot of time and effort into this, so thanks Adamar for that.
Oh, that's no problem at all, John. Okay. Oh, Lisa, you eventually got in. Okay, no problem at all. Actually, do you know what, Lisa? I should really, when I email out about the webinar, I should actually email out the password to get in. So that's one for me to take on. I'll make sure that I give those details for everybody. Not everyone remembers the password to log into the actual big blue button. Anyway, Lisa, that won't be a worry for next week because we're going to go on to Skype. But in the future, for using this, I will send out the password. All right, thanks a million, everybody. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I hope you all had a brilliant Easter as well. Okay, bye-bye.